Welcome to the 4 Bells, where we are doing workout from home today, number 87. Today we have got ourselves a glorious leg day in the books. We are going to work on really trying to overload the quadriceps, and we are adding some new exercises into our strength piece today. But to get us ready for our leg day, we need to make sure we are warm. So we're going to start with 3 things which we're going to do for 3 rounds today in our warm-up. We're going to start off with a squat hangout for somewhere around 30 seconds. We're going to go over a few different options of things you can do for the squat hangout. From there, we're going to do the 90-90 hip roll. We're looking at internal and external rotation through the hip. We're going to do 5 in each direction. And then, last but not least, we're going to do the world's greatest stretch, a bold statement for any exercise. But we're going to do 5 reps of that per side as well. We're going to do these 3 things 3 times in the warm-up. Let's take a look at it. Starting off with the squat hangout, you need to be down in a squat. So ideally, heels are on the floor. We've got hamstrings smushing into calf, and we're in a nice passive, relaxed, kind of noodly position. And we're just trying to see how it feels first of all to hang out here. So for you, if you're very tight in this position and it feels really awful, then you can try to elevate the heels a little bit, or you might find the heels come off, you might put the hands on the floor. Not the end of the world, we're just getting used to being in this deep, dark squat position. From here, we can play around with things like drawing circles with the knees. You can play around with rocking from side to side. You can get super fancy by going internal and external rotation with the hip. You can get into thoracic rotations. You can do all manner of fun things. So find the things that feel not very uncomfortable, slightly uncomfortable for you. Pick those, play around with those positions, and hang out there 30 seconds. From there, we come into the 90-90 hip roll. So for the 90-90 hip roll, I need 2 90s, which means 90 degrees in my left leg, 90-degree bend in my right leg. All I'm going to do is rotate, bring both knees to the floor, still maintain that 90-degree position. Then, if I can, I come back up to my start position, and then I roll over to the other side. So that's 1 per side, and all we're going to do is 10, total 5 per side. From there, we come up into the world's greatest stretch. Still in my name, a very bold claim. Don't get me wrong, it's a great stretch. There's a lot of things going on. We've got hip flexion, hip extension, we've got spinal rotation, a bunch of different stuff. But what I'm essentially looking for is a lunge starter sprint position. From here, I'm going to try and bring the elbow inside my knee as close to the floor as possible. From there, I rotate up to the ceiling. From there, hands back down, and I'm trying to straighten out that front leg, and that's 1 rep. So again, elbow down, rotate up, hand back down, and we straighten out that front leg. So there's a lot of things going on in that stretch, but we're going to do 5 per side. We're doing those 3 things 3 times in the warm-up today. With today's strength piece, we have 5 sets. Each set is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. So in our first 90 seconds, we're going to be doing our quad-focused squat exercise today, and we are going to be doing the Cyclist Squat. We're going to be doing 10 reps of a Cyclist Squat at a 3-1-x-1 tempo, which is a fancy way of saying we're going to take 3 seconds on the way down, we're going to take a 1 second pause at the bottom, we're then going to explode back up, and then we're going to take a 1 second rest at the top before we come into our next rep. When it comes to the Cyclist Squat, as we're going to talk about in just a few seconds, it really depends on what you have available to you at home. These can be quite spicy at body weight. If you have a lot of time under tension, you can add dumbbells, you can add kettlebells. If you're feeling very dangereux, you can even add a barbell into the mix. So we'll talk about that in a second. So that's our first 90 seconds. Our second 90 seconds is a new exercise we haven't done before, but we're mixing it up. We're at home, we're trying to try some new things for you guys. We're going to spend 45 seconds doing a kneel to standing. So that's essentially like a bodyweight ground-based step up. That's what we're going to be looking at today. It's got components of a lunge, components of a step up to it. We're going to go over how to do both of these guys right about now. With the Cyclist Squat, ideally we need a small podium to stand on. So I suppose the caveat is, before we get into Cyclist Squats, if you find Cyclist Squats incredibly tough, like being with an elevated heel is very tough for you, or getting into those deep dark ranges of motion are tough for you, then doing a regular back squat, regular front squat, any kind of squat is perfectly fine. You can still follow the same format. We'll do 10 reps, still following the 3-1-X1 tempo. So of course, if you can do cyclist squats, slight podium, little something to stand on with our heels elevated is ideal. So nothing really bigger than your index finger, that's all you need. So here at the gym, I've got this lovely 45-pound plate. I'm going to demonstrate from the side first so you can see what the intention is with the cyclist squat. I'm going to have my feet pretty close together, so narrower than hip width. I'm going to focus on keeping my torso as upright, and the initiation of the movement is not with the hips as it is in a regular squat. With the cyclist squat, it's all about the knees tracking forwards first. So keeping the torso as vertical as possible, we allow the knees to track. I come as low as I can, getting as much compression between hamstring and calf as I can, and then from there, we drive it back up. So of course, we're doing a 3-1-X1, so that means today, I'll be taking my time to spend 3, 2, 1 second pause, fire it up as fast as I can, then it's a second before I go again. 3, 2, 1 second pause, and then fast up. So of course, if you have kettlebells to add to this, dumbbells, you can add whatever you like. If you're feeling very dangerous, you could do a front rack or even back rack barbell, but make sure you are very comfortable with cyclist squats before you get into that. Either way, 10 reps, 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, explode up. A new movement today, the kneel to standing. I'm trying to play around with my mind about how to add in things like step-ups, when maybe at home you don't have a box or a large surface to step up onto. So with the kneel to standing, what we're going to do today is start kneeling, and then we're going to go into standing, then we're going back down to kneeling. In terms of thinking about what's the sequence of the legs, all I want you to do is focus on one leg when we start and finish a rep. So that means to begin, I'm going to focus on my right leg first of all. So my right leg steps up, and I stand up, and my right leg steps back, and I come back to the floor. From there, my left knee stands up, and I drive up. My left leg steps back. So just focusing on one leg, we're going to be moving up and down for 45 seconds. If you want to add some weight to the mix, a couple of dumbbells on the shoulders works very nicely. Again, right leg first, drive up, right leg back to the floor. Left leg stands up, drive up, left leg comes back, and back to kneeling. And that is the kneel to standing. 45 seconds of fun. Conditioning piece today, we are going to be doing a 12-minute AMRAP. We've got a ton of different work for the legs. We are doing some sideways action for the legs, we're doing some single leg work, we are doing some cross-body stability work, we're doing some explosive work. There's a ton of different stuff going on for the legs today in our 12-minute AMRAP. 720 seconds of joy. But we have the following rounds/reps to do. We're going to go through these 4 exercises as many times as possible in 12 minutes. So we're looking at our first exercise, jumping jacks for 25 reps. You may be thinking, hey coach, usually you give us an option as if to say, if I don't have a rowing machine, or I don't have a bike, or I don't have this, then jumping jacks. But no, I've realised some people have not done a single jumping jack during this lockdown, which means everybody is going to be doing jumping jacks today. That is the aim of the game. Once I've done my 25 jumping jacks, heart rate should be nice and high. By that point, we're going to get into Cossack Squats. A great look at frontal plane movement, which means moving from side to side, and we're going to be looking at a whole bunch of mobility as well. If you are very good at the Cossack Squat, you could even add a dumbbell or a kettlebell to it. You could then take that dumbbell or kettlebell and bring it into single or one-arm thrusters today. So that means we're going to have a weight on one side doing our thruster for 5 reps, and then we switch the weight over to the other side for 5 reps. Last but not least, alternating for 10 reps, 5 per leg, it will be a jumping lunge. We're going to do these 4 exercises as many times as possible in 12 minutes. Let's take a look at them. Jumping jacks, some people love them, some people hate them. Either way, we are going to do them for 25 reps today. When we start the jumping jack, it's a pretty simple movement. I'm going to start with the hands by the hips, feet together, and then I'm going to display both apart, coming to a star shape. So I come apart, hands together at the top, legs apart. I'm coming in and out. That's a jumping jack. What do I see happen a lot? people get tired and the knees start to collapse in. So of course this is an over-exaggeration, but we don't want collapsed in knees. Ideally we're keeping the legs straight throughout and making sure that when we bring those arms up, we're not just halfway. Get those hands overhead. With the Cossack Squat, we are looking for a great demonstration of single leg mobility and groin flexibility and hamstring flexibility and squat mechanics. There's a ton of stuff going on all at once. I'm going to set my feet up wide. So we're talking Jean-Claude Van Damme wide. From here, I'm going to shift all of my weight across and then the hip comes down. So if I can, I'm going to try and get my hamstring to touch my calf, knee comes over the toe, heel stays flat. I'm going to keep my chest up. And then I switch over and I come over to the other side. And we're going to go from side to side for 10 total reps. If that's easy for you, you can grab a dumbbell or a kettlebell and add that into the mix. For the one arm thruster, either a dumbbell or a kettlebell works very fine. I'm just going to have the dumbbell on one side, which means I've got a lot more stability work to do through the core, as when I'm holding onto this weight, it's going to try and pull me off axis. That's why we're doing 5 per side. Just like with the Cossack Squat, if you want to add some weight and that weight's pretty heavy, that's okay. Don't be afraid to add a heavy weight into this if you want to. So I'm going to squat all the way down. Dramatic arm for effect always works very well. I squat all the way down, drive overhead, back to the shoulder, that's 1 rep. And of course, once I've done 5 on one side, we switcheroo, and it is 5 on the other, the old one arm thruster. With the jumping lunge, for me personally, I like myself to start from the floor. So I'll step back into a lunge position. So I've got the back knee touching on the floor here. And I'm trying to keep my torso as upright. When it comes from switching to one leg to the other, ideally as I project that force up, I want both legs to be pretty straight before I switch that position. I see a lot of people doing it from that staggered position down here, trying to switch really low. We don't want that. So keeping the chest nice and vertical, straight legs, we switch and then gently control down. If I can, going from one side to the other for 10 total reps. Of course, if jumping lunges do not work nicely with your joints, step back, reverse, or forward walking lunges work perfectly well. We're going to do a 12-minute AMRAP today, 25 jumping jacks to start us off, Cossack squats from side to side for 10, one arm thrusters for 10, 5 on one side, 5 on the other, and then 10 jumping lunges. Have fun, let us know how you go.